What's up, Bears fans? What's up, Halas Huddlers? Yesterday, the Chicago Tribune dropped an article that made the proposed Hammond Stadium site sound like the opening scene of a post-apocalyptic movie. You saw the words slag heap, hazardous waste, industrial contamination, refinery nearby. Basically, if you only read the headline and skimmed Twitter reactions, you'd think the Bears are trying to build a stadium directly on top of toxic sludge while fans tailgate in hazmat suits. But today, I want to talk about what's actually real here. What's political framing, and why this Hammond proposal may actually be a lot stronger than people think. Because buried underneath all that scary environmental buzzwords was some very interesting news that came out during the during the CHGO Bears interview with Hammond Mayor Thomas. I'm blanking on his name. Thomas McDermott. And honestly, some of it changes the entire conversation around this project. So today, I am a solo podcast. It's me, Rob Schwarz, with Bear Goggles On. As you can see, I don't have any co-hosts with me tonight. But I'm going to dive into the Chicago Tribune article. I'm going to dive into why the EPA concerns are being overstated. The massive land revelation from Hammond. Why the Bears would absolutely love the revenue structure being proposed. And the unfortunate reality Bears fans need to accept no matter where the stadium ends up. Because whether this thing lands in Chicago, which I'm sorry, that's not happening, whether it lands in Arlington Heights or Hammond, your wallet as a Bears fan that wants to attend games, it's getting hit either way. So we're going to jump into it. This is the Halas Huddle. Look, we are on a mission to 2,000 subscribers before the season starts. Okay. We are at 1,954, if I'm remembering correctly. If you are watching this and you love the Chicago Bears, hit the subscribe button. It helps support the channel. It does really nothing for you. If you get notifications, you don't want to do it, just move along, right? Like, it helps us. Hit the subscribe button. We've been here for the last few years trying to build this up, build this community. Absolutely love what's happening. We love the supporters. We love the support that we get. We love the comments. The comment section is huge, okay? It helps the algorithm. Go to the comment section. Let's talk Bears. Even if you don't want to talk stadium, go to the comment section. Type in fuck Green Bay, okay? I don't care. Like, do something to help the show, help us build this and continue to make this incentivized for us to continue to put out more and great content, all right? It'll help with our show. It'll help with sponsorships. We have one in the works right now. Just hit that subscribe button. Please help the show out. All right, let's jump into it. First, let's talk about the Tribune article itself. The core argument is that the proposed Hammond site near Wolf Lake sits on or near former industrial land connected to Northwest Indiana's steel industry history. And yes, that's true. There are slag deposits in the area. There are brownfield concerns. There are environmental EPA cleanup considerations. But here's where I think the conversation immediately started getting exaggerated, especially online. People hear terms like slag heap and instantly imagine some glowing radioactive mountain from The Simpsons. That is not what it is. Slag is basically leftover material from steel production. Northwest Indiana is full of it because the entire region was built around heavy industry for generations. And here's the important part. Former industrial land being redeveloped, it's not unusual. In fact, it's incredibly common. Actually, it's one of the most common redevelopment strategies in major American cities. This is called a brownfield redevelopment. And if we're being honest, if America refused to build on former industrial land, half the modern developments you see today wouldn't even exist. Riverfront entertainment districts, former industrial land. Warehouse conversions, former industrial land. Mixed use districts, which is what the Chicago Bears are trying to do, former industrial land. Luxury apartments where people live, former industrial land. Massive sports complexes. Look, we're talking the Bears. SoFi Stadium still had EPA stuff, Brownfield considerations. MetLife Stadium, Brownfield considerations. Okay, these are things that are very common, all former industrial land. This happens constantly. The idea that EPA oversight automatically means unbuildable is just not true. Okay? What it usually means is soil remediation, environmental engineering, cleanup management, groundwater monitoring, infrastructure planning. That's all normal. Yes, it costs money. It adds complexity, but it does not mean that that site is impossible. And honestly, some of this just feels very politically charged. Because the second this article dropped, Arlington Heights supporters, other Illinois politicians, even reporters, okay, immediately started amplifying it like this was some catastrophic revelation. But let's be honest about what's happening here. This entire stadium process has become leverage warfare. The Bears are leveraging Indiana against Illinois. Illinois is trying to undermine Indiana. Even the Chicago, okay, Mayor Brandon Johnson is trying to stay relevant. All while Arlington Heights, the original proposed site, the original site that the Bears bought, they just want momentum back. Everybody has an agenda now. And if the Hammond site was truly impossible, the Bears wouldn't still be entertaining it. Indiana lawmakers wouldn't still be pushing financing legislation. And Hammond still wouldn't be expanding its offer. Which brings me to honestly the most interesting part of this entire story, something that I felt was completely overlooked by most people on social media because of what came out in that Tribune article today. This is stuff that I learned while watching the interview with CHGO Bears. We're talking Mark Carman. We're talking Adam Hogue. We're talking Greg Braggs. Okay. They interviewed current Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott. I think it was yesterday. Same day, actually, I think the Tribune article came out. But what's interesting is this changed the way I view the Indiana proposal completely. Completely. Originally, we all thought that this Hammond site was around 112 acres. And in the grand scheme of things, that felt small. Especially when you compare it to Arlington Heights and the ability to build a full entertainment district around the stadium. A site that has 326 acres. acres. That's more than double. It's nearly triple. Okay, this is the site that has 326 acres from the beginning that was going to be developed as a mixed-use campus. But according to the mayor of Hammond, Hammond has over 300 nearly contiguous acres available for the Bears. Now we're talking apples to apples. That's a completely different conversation. Now, suddenly, you're not just talking about a stadium and a small mixed-use development. No. Now, you're talking about hotels, restaurants, bars, parking, tailgating, retail, year-round entertainment. That changes everything. That makes both sites nearly identical in size and future revenue from a development standpoint. Excluding property taxes and other differences, like I know that that's the difference here between what's going on in Illinois and Indiana, but it's basically going to be the same. We then learned another major detail from the mayor's interview. And this coincides with where I think some of this acreage is coming from. The golf course, Lost Marsh, is most likely going to become part of that redevelopment agreement. Again, that's huge. Because one of the biggest advantages Arlingtonites had was flexibility and land control. But if Hammond can truly offer 300 plus acres with possible expansion opportunities, now you're talking about something much more comparable. And here's the thing, fans here's the thing that fans need to understand about modern NFL ownership. The stadium itself is no longer the business. The surrounding district is the business. That's the model now. Like I said earlier, what could happen in these developments? Well, owners they want the restaurants, they want the hotels, the shopping, the concerts, the conventions, the bars, casinos, possibly. They want year-round traffic. Look at SoFi Stadium. Look at the Star in Dallas. Look at what Nashville is currently building for the Titans. NFL teams aren't building football stadiums anymore. They are building entertainment empires. And that brings us to what might be the most important detail from the Hammond mayor interview: revenue control. Why this isn't being talked about on social media right now, I don't understand. But the mayor reportedly made it clear, something that was never truly confirmed when things were going on in the conversations and the press conferences that were going on. This was never truly confirmed. In fact, Adam Hogue asked this question. He asked it again during his interview yesterday with the mayor. And he asked that question originally to, I think, Kevin Warren. And then he re-asked that question to the mayor of Hammond yesterday. And the mayor reportedly made it clear that while the Bears would lease this stadium for 35 years before they have to renegotiate, the Bears would retain all secondary revenue. So you're talking concerts, stand-up comedy, international soccer, any type of events, shows, everything. That revenue would belong to the Bears, and that is massive. Because one of the frustrations the Bears have always had at Soldier Field is lack of control. Limited development, limited revenue streams, limited ownership flexibility. Hell, they had limited ability to change the damn field. The field that their players play on. The field that was a piece of crap constantly. And fans are upset. Politicians want to sit here. Look, I know I had Brian Costin on. I like Brian Costin. I don't have an issue with Brian Costin. We do not agree in this statement at all. Soldier Field is not the best site for the Chicago Bears. If you're not going to sell them that stadium and give them the opportunity to own that stadium and have all control of that stadium, it is not the best site for the Chicago Bears. In fact, it is the worst site for the Chicago Bears. What it is, and this is why Brian believes this, it is the best site for taxpayers. Even though Illinois is not getting any property tax revenue, it also isn't putting a burden beyond what's already on them for property taxes. And I don't completely disagree with him when it comes to wanting caps and 1% or 2%, whatever that cap may be. And I don't completely disagree with him on there needs to be limits to what can happen with the property taxes and what value can actually be applied to the levy. We've talked about it. I don't disagree with him there, but I do completely disagree that Soldier Field, and I like Soldier Field, I do disagree that Soldier Field is the best option for the Bears. They do not have a great stadium situation. They have no control. But Hammond and Arlington Heights, they're offering the exact opposite. They're offering full control. But the difference is Hammond, the Bears aren't paying property taxes there either. So it's a huge win in the Hammond, Indiana playbook. And honestly, if you're Bears ownership, that has to be extremely attractive, especially when you consider how much NFL franchises now prioritize non-football revenue. This is revenue that they don't have to pay their players. This isn't just about 8 or 9 home games anymore. It's about monetizing the property 365 days a year. Now, with all that said, there's another reality that Bears fans, specifically not just season ticket holders, but especially season ticket holders, need to prepare themselves for. No matter where this stadium goes, the fan experience is going to get more expensive. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but it's true. Whether this ends up in Arlington Heights or it ends up in Hammond, Indiana, you're getting higher ticket prices, PSL pressure, more taxes, whether it's on tickets, whether it's on food and beverage, doesn't matter which location, it's all happening. More expensive concessions, same thing, food and beverage, probably pricier parking, and more premium experiences, probably replacing cheaper seating. And unfortunately, that's modern NFL economics. These stadiums are luxury entertainment products now. They're not municipal football fields. And honestly, fans arguing over location may be missing the bigger point entirely. The average family experience is going to cost significantly more, regardless of where the stadium is built. That part is unavoidable. And finally, just to throw this in there, let's talk about Nashville and just how embarrassing this entire process has become. The Titans started their process of building a new stadium after the Bears started theirs. It was almost a year. It might have been a little over a year. But I want you to think about that. After. And yet Nashville has already finalized funding, broke ground, construction is rolling, and they're targeting a 2027 opening. Guys, that's next year. Meanwhile, the Bears and Bears fans, we're stuck in Illinois versus Indiana. I mean, even though Chicago's not really part of the picture, but it still feels like Chicago versus the suburbs. Politics versus politics. Leverage versus leverage. And on top of that, Nashville is reportedly getting a Super Bowl in 2030. The Bears probably won't even have a stadium in 2030. That's what's frustrating. Chicago has one of the largest markets in America, one of the most historic franchises in sports, and yet this process has felt completely directionless for years. I still put most of the blame on the politicians, but at some point, the Bears just need to stop prioritizing nostalgia and start prioritizing business realities. And whichever location gives them the most control, the most revenue, the best long-term flexibility, and the least political resistance, in my opinion, should be the winner. So no, I don't think the Hammond site is becoming an impossible toxic wasteland. I think it's a complicated brownfield redevelopment project, which is, again, something America does all the time, specifically around stadium projects. One of the best things to do for those redevelopments, brownfield redevelopments, is pave over it, because putting tons of concrete over top of things helps with the remediation. And after hearing the Hammond mayor discuss the land availability and the revenue setup, and him hinting at the fact they know that this area is better than what most people think, and they need to prove that to the Bears, that just screams the winner to me, right? Like, I think this proposal may be a lot more serious than most fans think. I think it's still the front runner. I've had it as the front runner for a while. I think it is still the front runner over the Arlington Heights site. In all honesty, the only reason that the Chicago Bears end up in Arlington Heights is because the McCaskey family specifically does not want to move out of the state of Illinois. That's the only reason why that would happen. I don't know. What do you think? Please go to the comments, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, go to the comment section. Would you rather see the Bears stay in Illinois no matter what? Or do you care more about finally getting the franchise, the modern stadium setup that they've been chasing for decades? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode, again, make sure to subscribe. The stadium saga is still somehow going to get crazier. And as much as I've said I want it to just be done, we're going to have to keep talking about it until it's finalized. But we still got plenty of Bears talk. We got some fun activities and guests that we're going to line up this summer. So, again, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Please help us get to that 2,000 mark. Until next time, guys, bear down, claws up.